You know the vibes. www.daymcomic.com, DAYMCOMIC.com. Click the link below. Order your comic books right now. They're dropping in a few months. Don't be without one.
Hey guys, what's going on? Antonio here. Just finished 4 hours and 10 minutes of the Snyder Cut, Justice League. Overall, let me give it a thumbs up. I was really happy when I finished. I thought it was really cool. But let's kind of get it. Oh yeah, and there's definitely I have to kind of give a few spoilers just to talk about what I saw. But I'm gonna be kind of vague though, so I don't want to ruin it for anybody who hadn't seen it yet. But definitely thumbs up, recommend, all that kind of stuff. But let's kind of get into some of the build up to getting to the Snyder Cut. Obviously, Zack Snyder, he did Justice League. They did the test screening of Justice League. The audience apparently was not feeling it. The test scores on the Zack Snyder Justice League, they had very poor performance scores, and DC wanted, they wanted this to be their Avengers where they could build around and do multiple franchises and all that kind of thing. So they were preparing to a reshooting schedule. They were going to do some rewrites and some tweaks and stuff. And this is when Zack Snyder lost his daughter, Autumn. She, well, I don't even want to get into it because I'll get flagged. But she passed away, and it's unfortunate. Obviously, he walked away. Him and his wife was a producer on the film as well. But I know she's done some interviews, and he talked to her. He just couldn't complete the film and do the reshoots and stuff after his daughter passed. He walked away. They brought in Josh Whedon. They did the reshoots. I guess DC was happier with what they got. Then we got the film, and it only did like $700 million, and they had spent almost $300 million on the movie plus the reshoots. Then they spent like another $150 million on ads. So just making like 700 and something million or whatever is not, it was going to cost so much more money. They thought they were going to do like $1 billion, $1.5 billion. They thought they were going to do Avengers numbers. They thought, some of these Avengers movies are doing like $1.2, $1.3 billion. They thought they were going to do numbers like that. And when you're looking at like, $767 million, and they spent, hundreds and hundreds of millions of dollars making, reshooting, all that, it didn't work out. So it kind of got scrapped, and then you start hearing that the Snyder Cut, they had, certain actors like Jason Momoa was like, there was so much stuff we shot that they didn't put in, and he was hearing, that's one thing, like if you follow Jason Momoa on Instagram and stuff, he talks to his fans, and fans was being honest that they wasn't really digging the Josh Whedon improvements or whatever. They got in there. Thing went down, and he started talking about this. That's the first I started hearing that there was Snyder footage that, there was so much that could have got out, and then you start hearing the hashtag release the Snyder Cut. That's when that started trending, and it took almost 3 years, and there was so many fans that just went crazy. I was definitely one of them, and, DC finally listened, and they let him, He wanted to come back and, use his footage and maybe add a little bit more, do the whole thing. And this is how we got the Snyder Cut, which, like I said, about, 4 hours and 10 minutes. I was really impressed. But, yeah, okay, so let's get into what, I loved the fleshing out of some of the scenes that got, you watch the Justice League movie, the original one, the theatrical cut, and there was like with Wonder Woman with that bank, with the bank heist or whatever, that scene, there's a longer version of it in this, and it really fleshes it out. You see a lot more, so that kind of stuff I really liked. Getting rid of some of the stuff that Josh Whedon put in out there Like when you get to that final battle at the end with that little family that the Flash had to run, and that whole thing, that they lost that and nobody missed it. One thing that I did notice for the Snyder Cut, there was way too much Cyborg. There's so much Cyborg in the movie. There's so much Cyborg. It's just too much Cyborg. And I'm a Cyborg fan, and I'm telling you, nobody watched this movie to see Cyborg. It's way too much. He's in the movie way too much. And his backstory and him playing football and the stuff with his parents and his dad, Joe Morton's his dad, I've been a fan of Joe Morton's for like 40 some odd years. He was 1983, 84 with A Brother from Another Planet. I was a kid when that movie came out. Brother from Another Planet. Obviously he was Miles Bennett Dyson in Terminator 2 and so many other roles. He's a brilliant actor. So you got a whole bunch more Joe Morton in this. You got a whole bunch more Alfred, Jeremy Irons. You got a whole bunch more of that. You got more Commissioner Gordon than we had. The scenes were still short, but they used a lot more stuff. Mira, when you got Willem Dafoe. Here's another thing. So they brought Willem Dafoe in, and they shot those scenes, and then he did Aquaman. The what's his name? Volva. His character's name's Volvo or whatever. That character looks like Gandalf in the Justice League Snyder Cut. He kind of looks like Gandalf because if you've seen him, he's more clean cut with his hair pulled back and stuff in Aquaman, and so you see him like that. You see Willem Dafoe, like all of a sudden his hair is all disheveled and all this kind of thing. And not to mention, Mira's British in this. They got, what's her name? Amber Heard. And Amber Heard is speaking with like a British accent, which is strange. Because if you saw Aquaman, she just speaks like a regular chick. So she's speaking with a British accent the whole movie. So that's weird. Like the scenes that she's in, she's like, I knew your mother, Arthur. It's like that whole thing's strange. So I was like, I guess they decided, you can lose the accent. She did a Scarlet Witch because Scarlet Witch lost her accent too. So that's, I guess that's what happened. Also, let me see. Like I said, I said too much Cyborg. The Deathstroke scene. It was I don't know if that's a reshoot. Was it Joe Manganiello? Joe Manganiello. I can never say his last name. I loved him on True Blood though. But they gave us more Deathstroke. I'm never gonna complain about more Deathstroke. We got they threw a couple Easter eggs in there. You find out Ryan Choi is in there. Ryan Choi's the second Atom. If you're gonna do the Atom and you don't do Ray Palmer, get that out of here. It's like, I love Miles Morales, but if they had given us Miles Morales before we got Peter Parker, then that would have been a thumbs down for me, right? So now when Miles Morales finally does show up in the MCU, he's coming, right? So when we do finally get Miles Morales, everybody's like, oh, there's Miles, and they're going to be happy to see him, right? You start off with Ryan Choi instead of giving us Roy Palmer. That's a thumbs down for me, dog. The Martian Manhunter scenes were in there. There were a couple of Martian Manhunter scenes. The one at the end, I felt like that was the way they set it up and filmed it. That was meant to be Henry Cavill. At the end, the scene with Martian Manhunter and Bruce, that was supposed to be Henry Cavill, but they couldn't get Henry Cavill. They did announce that he was not going to be back for the reshoots because he's shooting Witcher and all this. He's doing movies and stuff, so he wasn't able to get free to come back for a couple weeks or whatever and shoot the new scenes. But the stuff that they cut out with Superman from the original cut into what you're seeing and seeing him in that black suit and everything, I was with that. Yeah, it was. I was definitely feeling that. There was. You could kind of feel like he had to take some of the stuff that Josh Whedon had shot because you couldn't get Henry Cavill back, so he had to take some of that Whedon footage and then mix it in with his new footage. So that stuff was interesting. They did that with I guess they weren't able to get Robin Wright. She played I can't remember the Amazonian queen's Diana's mother. She was her general, and when you see the new scenes at the beginning where Steppenwolf is fighting the Amazonians, Robin Wright's not there. But then they do the flashback, and you see that the ancient battle from like a couple thousand years ago with the Green Lanterns and all that, and Robin Wright's in that footage. Because I guess, well, obviously she was there when they filmed, but I guess they weren't able to get her back for these new scenes. Another thing, Wonder Woman all of a sudden can't fly anymore. Remember, anybody seen Wonder Woman 84? Wonder Woman figured out how to fly. She could lasso the wind. She could do all kind of stuff. Now she just jumping and she can't fly. So that's it. And that movie's 30. That's a prequel that was shot. That was made 30 years in it prior to this. That's the timeline. So somehow she figured out how to fly and she lost. She forgot it or whatever. 30 years later when she's fighting, all these monsters and aliens and robots, and she can't figure out how to fly after she figured out how to fly. So that was strange. There's so much. Like I said, there was another scene with Lois Lane. What's her name? Lois Lane and what's the actress? Diane Lane that plays Martha Kent, and she comes to see her, and that was different because in the theatrical she actually went to the Daily Bugle and saw her and stuff like that. So some of that, the reason that's why I mentioned the stuff about him having to settle for some of that some of the Henry Cavill footage that he had from Josh Whedon, I guess, because there's a scene with the wedding ring. Remember, he put Martha had given Lois Lane that ring in the theatrical cut, and she doesn't give it to her in this version. But then when they're at the farm later, Clark goes, "Oh, so that's a yes because she's wearing the ring." But there's no context, and I went back and looked at the scene again. I was like, "Wait a minute, she never gave her the ring." And I actually went back and found the scene again and looked, and she never gave her the ring. So she's just sitting there. I don't know. So he had to, like I said, if you saw the other version, you know that she got that ring from Martha. But if you're just going in cold and you hadn't watched it or anything, you're like, what ring? When did she get the ring? It was that kind of stuff. But that's such a minor thing. It's just, just like me complaining that they got Cyborg from Gotham when he's actually from Detroit. You read Teen Titans, especially that classic Marv Wolfman, George Perez, run, Cyborg, Vic Stone is from the D, man. He's from Detroit. So that's where his stomping grounds is. He's not from Gotham, but I don't know. Like I said, that's minor. That's just me nitpicking. I understand they want to centralize everything in Gotham. The stuff with the Joker, the way I understood this movie was supposed to go, it was supposed to be like 3 movies. This was the original outline that got scrapped. It's supposed to be 3 movies, and then, we're building up for the dark side battle. Superman dies. Superman dies he died in Batman vs. Superman, all right? So we're building up to the dark side battle. They need Superman, but it's somewhere in between them reincarnating Superman. Batman and Lois Lane fall in love with each other, and they fall in love. Batman gets Lois Lane pregnant. She gives birth to a son. They bring Superman back from the dead. Now, all this stuff is not in the Snyder Cut. This is what was. These are the stuff that Zack Snyder was originally planning on doing it all. Like you said, he had 3 movies planned and all this. But yeah, so Lois Lane had Bruce Wayne's baby. They bring Superman back. She still loves Superman, so she leaves Batman, and he's heartbroken because he really loved Lois, because he's like, damn. So now you got this weird dynamic where another reason for Batman and Superman to kind of, because they both love Lois now. They had this weird thing going with that. Batman sacrifices his life to save everybody else, and then Superman obviously respects the fact that Batman died helping to save the world and all that, and him and Lois go off and they raise, Superman takes Bruce Wayne's son as his own and raises him as his son. So that was what was apparently was supposed to happen over like 3 movies, and now we just got the Snyder cut. And I don't, they look like they got more story to tell, but this thing, they spent like another $70 million on these reshoots and everything. So I don't know if we're gonna get that, but it's definitely a thumbs up. I enjoyed it. If you saw the Snyder cut, let me know what you guys think. I'm out. Thank you for watching. Please like and subscribe, and please check out my podcast at anchor.fm/AkariPress, or just type in Akari Press on your favorite streaming platform today.